Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. I want you to watch me get ready to pay my bills for the month of June. This process, I do this every single month, and it's actually very relaxing for me. I say that because I've been able to simplify the process to whereas I only have to pay bills once per month. My financial situation always hasn't been that streamlined. I'm able to pay bills once a month because I put all of our household expenses onto a credit card that I pay off in full monthly. So whatever the statement balance is for that card, it gets paid off every single month. That's not always been the case. I used to be terrible with credit cards. Run them past their limit, lots of late fees, all that stuff. But once I was able to get a grip on my finances, I was able to switch from using my debit card for purchases to credit cards for purchases. I use credit cards for purchases. It offers a lot more protection. I have had issues in the past where my debit card was compromised and like my checking account would get frozen, or people would spend money on my debit card fraudulently and it would take forever for the banks to get me back that money. Anyway, I love my credit cards. So what I'm doing on my sheet, I obviously titled this June. I have two accounts that I pay my bills out of. One account is just mine. The second account is a joint account, and my husband deposits his share of the household expenses into that account. So that way he has his own account and his own money. The last thing I wanted to do was combine all of our finances once we got married, because I'm sure I'd go through some of his stuff like, why are you spending money on that? And he'd look at me like, you need to stop shopping so much on Amazon. I don't mind that he has his own account to do with what he wants, because I have my own to do with what I want. All right, so far what I've done, I've listed the starting balances for both accounts, and then I listed all of the payments that will come out of the first account. That first credit card, that's my everyday spender. That's the one I use for groceries, convenience store trips, medical, insurance, lights, everything except, again, for rent. The second credit card, that's the last payment for that card. I actually canceled that one. The annual fee was too high. I couldn't justify using it anymore. And the other two are just kind of frivolous. I'm not concerned. The fourth one, though, I am happy, does have 0% interest on it. So I'm not concerned about paying more than the minimum right now. I'm really trying to save cash, and you'll see that later. All right, the next expenses I listed are car, and 2 loans, and investment deductions. The last two in those categories, or that column, come out automatically, and that's why I start them. So I'm taking account for them before they even come out for the next month. So I have a buffer in account number 2 for those automatic withdrawal payments. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to total up everything that's going to get paid out of account 1. So I can deduct that from the starting balance, so I know how much I'm going to have left in that specific account. I will preface and say that account 1 is abnormally large due to an extra payment I received from work. So that's not a normal starting balance at all for that account. But like I said, I do not spend out of my checking account. And I was very cognizant to not start spending knowing that I had that extra money in there. Like I said, I've gone through a lot of financial struggles, and I don't want to go back there. So I try to live as minimally as possible. And another reason why I write down what I have to pay out in bills is that I have a very clear idea of what's going to be coming out of the accounts, and it keeps everything so organized. I learned the hard way that if you don't organize your finances and write this stuff down, it's going to go right out the window. You're going to forget about stuff. That's when overdrafts happen and everything else. If you're liking this so far, please subscribe to my channel and follow me on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. Since my ending balances in both accounts were fairly large, I'm now allocating a good chunk of each to transfer into my savings account. I do make sure to keep some money in there as a buffer. I've already accounted for all automatic payments, and I don't have any others, but just in case I need to use my debit card for something, there will be money in there for me to use. I do want to say, if I haven't already, that as I'm doing this exercise or this journaling for my budgeting and bill paying on this paper, I'm not paying my bills yet. I don't pay my bills until the very end of the month. This just gives me an idea of where the money's going to be going. So when I do sit down and go to pay my bills, it takes no time at all. Then lastly, what I do before I wrap up my session is I like to kind of color code my stuff. It might sound a little OCD, but it makes me feel happy. So I'm going to highlight my starting balances, ending balance, and my new ending balance after that savings transfer, just so I can see what the totals were after each section has been accounted for. Now what I do is I'm going to highlight my needs. And these are bills I need to pay to keep my head above water. So all of these minimum payments that need to be made or statement balances paid in full, those are needs. I need to do that every single month. I need to pay my car note. I need to pay those loan payments. I cannot not pay them. I don't want to hurt my credit, and I don't want to dig myself into a hole. Because if I don't pay it now, it's going to have to get paid later. Lastly, I'm going to highlight how much I was able to save. All right, so I have those investment deductions that come out automatically, that I have a brokerage account for that, and then the savings transfer that I have. One thing I'm not including is I do contribute 3% to a retirement account through my job, and they match 3%, so that's why I'm only matching that 3%. I then total up each category just to see where I ended for the month. And doing this helps me get an idea of how much we're spending every month. And it will also help me to understand, some months are different than others. When I have to pay my car insurance, I pay that every 6 months. So I don't have that represented here. But if I did, that needs category would have been huge, because that credit card number 1 balance would have been X amount of dollars higher to account for that. This also gives me an idea of how much we should be spending every month. So once this needs gets totaled up, you'll see how much we need outside of rent in order to sustain our cost of living. Okay, I don't include rent with this because that comes out of a separate check and that gets paid at the beginning of the month. So I don't like to include rent when I'm doing this, because that's just a different part of my budgeting or bill paying system, right? I just realized one of my loan payments is going to be gone next month because this is the last payment. So it always feels good when you're in debt and you've been making progress on something and you can physically scratch it out because you are done with it. Now I'm totally up that amount. I was able to contribute to my investing and savings accounts. I would love to do more, but this was a weird month because I got that extra I guess I'll call it a stipend, and I knew I wasn't going to touch it because I have a lot of other expenses coming up where I'm going to need cash. All right. So last, I'll just highlight that needs, There will be a video coming soon where I break down all the transactions in that Big Mama Jamma credit card so you can see exactly what I'm spending. And then I'll highlight my savings just to know that's what I was able to do for this past month. It makes me happy to save money. There was a point in my life where I could never save money and would like overdraft on checking accounts all the time. Preparing my bills this way just helps me get ready for next month, and my starting balances are shown here, and that way I'll be good to go once next month rolls around. If you found this video to be helpful or useful in any way, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.